Good morning and welcome to More Tea Minister. My name is Ian. For this video, we're going to be kick-starting a short series on Baozhong Oolongs. Hopefully, by the time you see this, or you have a chance to see this, I'll have uploaded a short explanatory video as to why we are doing this series, because it allows us to look at a couple of different tea cultivars, one of which is the start of a whole new series. So today's tea, and it's a standalone, is Peach Garden Milk Baozhong from Mountain Stream Teas. Now this one is made using the Jin Xuan cultivar, which we have already seen. It's a cultivar which adds a, sometimes even on the fragrance, milky note to a tea, although really it's about the mouthfeel. That's what's causing that sense of milk or dairy products, although, as I say, sometimes it does come through on the nose, or at least to my mind. Now, as always with mountain stream teas, there's a great deal of information on their label, some of which we can just take a quick look at. This is from Taoyuan City, Taoyuan in Taiwan. It's a Jin Xuan cultivar. It's a 15% oxidation, that's about right for Baozhong, although it can be even lower, as we're going to see. It's charcoal roasted, it's hand-picked, small batch, processed on site, and it's from spring 2025, with soft vegetal and creamy sweet notes. That's according to the tasting notes on here. And then there's information about the brewing parameters as well. The reason why I'm not going to show it on camera, at least up close, is because the label's gone on and then it's been vacuum packed, so it's a little hard to see up close. Although what I might do, just to try and do them justice, that's the label there. If I tilt it a little, you might get, you get more of the light from the lamp on it. Okay, so just a couple of extra details. The very fact that it's called Peach Garden Milk Baozhong, well, that should tell you, or at least it's a clue, that it's going to be Jin Xuan for the reasons we've just explained. Peach Garden, well, that's the specific location that the tea is harvested from. And just a quick reminder to anybody who hasn't looked at our review of a Baozhong Oolong. Baozhong can either mean a tea that comes from a particular location and processed in a particular way, or nowadays it's more about the processing, and by which I mean it's about a style of processing. You can get it even more classical in terms of the cultivar and where it is grown, processed, but as with Dongding, Baozhong nowadays tends to mean a style. In terms of style, it means two things: a very low oxidation, sometimes 15% or even lower, and the finished tea, the end part of the processing is slightly different. Instead of being a rolled oolong, in terms of those beads that we're most familiar with, it's a twisted oolong. Now, apparently it's possible to get slight variations of that, which are deemed even more sort of traditional. But what we'll find with this, at least I'm assuming so, because I haven't tried it, is we'll get a twisted leaf oolong rather than a ball leaf. That's the two kind of characteristics of Baozhongs. So that's enough havering from me for part one. We're now going to take a look at the tea leaves up close, and then we'll move on to brewing the tea. See you in a mo. So here we are. Looking at the Peach Garden Milk Baozhong, which means it's a Jin Xuan cultivar. Looking at the leaves, it's something of a surprise, at least on first inspection. When I saw the leaves, I'm just flattening them out a bit so you get a better view. I'd initially thought, much to my surprise, that these were actually bald leaves. But looking at them, really, they're not. I think they're pretty small leaves, and they've just kind of contracted in upon themselves through processing. I say that because you have some like this leaf here, which is pretty pale and just looks very much like a larger leaf that's withered. And as we go through the sample, there is a great deal of unevenness, which I don't think is a quality issue. I think it's really that despite all intents and purposes, all appearances, it's not actually a bald oolong. One thing I will say is that there are some larger, lighter greener patches, and the stems, just the base of the leaves, where they join the bigger part of the plant, are obvious as well, which hasn't been the case in all of them. Other than that, the fragrance is a nice, gentle, slightly floral fragrance, very inviting. The green is pretty much consistent, in the sense that I'm not seeing much oxidized material, but we are only looking at 15% oxidation. So let's move on to sampling this tea. Hello and welcome to the first part of part 3 of our video, 3A, let's call it that, where we're going to be looking at this tea, excuse me, brewed Western style. Just to go over the brewing parameters for mountain stream teas for the Peach Garden Milk Baozhong: 1 to 2 minutes, 100 degrees centigrade, 3 to 5 grams per mug of tea. Now, the 100 degrees centigrade, that's easy enough. The 1 to 2 minutes, I set the timer for 2 minutes. What size is a mug, and where do you go between 3 to 5 grams? I don't like that kind of range. I like to sit it down at something in particular. So, one set of values that fits in within those details is basic 1 to 1. Or 1 to 100, 1 gram of tea per 100 mils. So that's what we've gone for. We've got pre-steeped, pre-strained in our teapot in its little cozy here. We've got 5 grams worth of the Peach Garden Milk Baozhong in 500 mils of water, 100 degrees centigrade for 2 minutes. Let's see how that's come out. It certainly had an extraordinary fragrance. And let's see how that comes out. One of the things that struck me is that that's pretty high, but it's also a short steep time. So it's not quite as much a balancing act as it is with Gongfu, but you have a much shorter kind of steeping time, even down to a minute, if you fit into those brewing parameters. But much hotter water, and depending on how you do it, a lot more tea. That's quite a strong gold colour, I would say. Let's see if I can get you it spot on. There you go. That's it, spot on. Pretty much gold, I would say. A lot of sweetness, a lot of vegetal quality. The sweetness is almost confectionery sweet. That doesn't mean to say it's lacking in complexity. And there is that Jin Xuan quality to it, which is a mixture of sweetness and vegetal, but also that kind of dairy quality. There is something that already, maybe it's association, triggers in my mind a kind of dairy quality already. So let's see what this is like on the taste. All 3 are there on the cup. I was expecting the sweetness to come to the fore, but the Jin Xuan quality is pretty prominent too. Yeah, the Jin Xuan quality is there. It's falling off the palate a little bit, so maybe more tea or longer steep. I'm not sure those brewing parameters quite suit me, but something of the Jin Xuan quality is coming through, and maybe a second steep would work a little differently. A little cooler. The Jin Xuan is pretty strong there. So you've got something sweet, you've got something with that Jin Xuan mouthfeel, you've got a little bit of vegetable. There's no fruit and there's no floral as such, but that's not what Jin Xuan is associated with. The Jin Xuan dairy mouthfeel is a lot stronger once the tea is cool. I'm going to try that just one more time. I don't want this video to go on for too long. Just pour a little into the cup this time. And we'll see how that comes out. It's not viscous enough to be leaving a trace on the cup, but that's the clever thing. It's mouthfeel, which really, as far as I can tell, isn't the kind of mouthfeel that requires the tea to be viscous. I don't know the biochemistry. I've heard it might be to do with pectin. I've also heard it might be to do with various proteins. Yeah, a little bit of freshness. But it's really the Jin Xuan mouthfeel that's coming through, plus plenty of sweetness. So that is what it's like on Western style. I may have to tweak the parameters for Gongfu, just because I'm going to be using my slightly thicker walled Gaiwan, and that keeps heat, so I don't want to overcook the tea. So let's move on to 3B, our Gongfu steeping, and then we'll review the tea. See you in a moment. Hello and welcome to part 3B of our video, our review of Peach Garden Milk Baozhong by Mountain Stream Teas. This is a low oxidation Jin Xuan cultivar. So for our Gongfu brewing of this tea, we're going to go with 3 grams of leaf. I'm using my small Gaiwan because it's easier to measure about 50 mils using this. Because it has thicker walls and it tends to allow tea to steep a lot more quickly, I think because of that, I'm going to adjust the parameters from Mountain Stream Teas slightly. It's going to be a fairly standard 3 grams of tea to 50 mils of water, so that's 6 grams to 500 mils. Have I got that right? No, 6 grams to 100 mils, that's right. But I'm bringing the temperature down slightly to 95, and we'll play the steepings by ear. So let's make a start. Oh, incidentally, to try and make it a bit more clear as to how long I've had per steeping, I'm going to use my timer, my stopwatch, because I think that would make things a little more systematic as well. So that's about 50. And so far that's coming up for 10 seconds. Now, because these aren't twisted, these, at least by appearance's sake, it's a bald oolong, it still has to unfurl, which is where the initial longer steep or the initial 2 longer steepings come in to allow the tea to unfurl. I can see it starting to do that. That's the advantage of 95 in this Gaiwan. So let's stop it there. Believe it or not, that's 40 seconds already. That's gone very quickly. An initial much longer steeping, of course. Let's see where that takes us. The leaves, a good strong smell of Jin Xuan there. The colour, unsurprisingly, a fair bit of colour at just under 40 seconds. Pale gold, I would say. You're seeing it as I'm seeing it there. Yeah, sweet, vegetal, some of that Jin Xuan quality. No florals or freshness, but I don't really expect that, so that's not a problem. Or it's not stand out, anyway. Oh yeah, the sweetness is coming up very strongly on the cup, as it always does, plus the dairy kind of Jin Xuan quality. The mouthfeel is all there. The taste is dropping off slightly on the palate, so it definitely needs longer, but the leaves really aren't even unfurled yet. But the sweetness, bit of vegetal, and some of that Jin Xuan mouthfeel. So that's pretty good, considering the leaves aren't even unfurled yet. So I'm going to reset that. Oh, it's rumbling away at me. Maybe only give this one 25 this time. See what it's like at 25. So yes, one of the reasons for using the stopwatch is that I was finding I was having to look through the recording to work out how long I'd given each steeping. Much easier if I'm got it recorded here. So let's give it to 30. There we go, on 30. Because we really don't want to start over steeping the leaves. That'd be a shame. Still not fully unfurled. If I let me take a smell, then I'll show you. The vegetal note and the Jin Xuan kind of quality is very much there. That's you're getting a reasonable view of it there. You can see they're not really fully unfurled yet. Almost excluded the Jin Xuan. A slightly dark yellow. Yeah, you're seeing it. Oh yeah, that's pretty intense now. I see it that way around. That's a pretty intense colour. Plenty of sweetness in Jin Xuan quality there. Oh, there's some fruit there, as well as a sweetness. I didn't expect that. Plenty of mouthfeel that time, plenty of mouthfeel. Flavour's not dropping off as quickly, so we're hitting about this, getting to the sweet spot. Plenty of mouthfeel, plenty of sweetness and some vegetal. Not really picking up any floral or fruit that time. It's a shame, I was looking forward to that. Right, let's get this steeping. We'll bring this right down, I think. Definitely give that only 20, see where that gets us. I feel like this is a sort of version of Tetris, but done in front of me. I can actually see what I'm doing. Let's see where we get with 25. Again, sweet, vegetal Jin Xuan. Oh, wow. The leaves are really started to steep and unfurl. Let me show you those. They're really full of dairy. Absolutely full of that Jin Xuan kind of quality. Really lovely. Very complex sweetness there. Colour, about as intense as the previous one. See if I can get you it right. There you go. That's it, spot on. There we go. Jin Xuan and sweetness. Whoa, that's the that's not a cup. This is a cup. Wonder why I'd be pouring it all over myself there. So, lots of sweetness. Very complex. That's pretty good. What's on the leaf isn't coming through on the steeping just yet. I'm going to give this one last steeping. I feel as if I am missing a trick here and it's not the tea's fault. One last try at that. Let's push that for 25 again. See if the leaves are fully unfurled now and see where that gets us. We'll still go for 25. Plenty of sugling going on. Whole lot of sugling going on. There we go. 25. Yeah. Yeah, that feels like it's the most alive, or the smell. Oh wow, absolutely full. It's almost like creme patisserie. Sweetness plus that Jin Xuan quality. Wow. Colour, yeah, that's more intense, I would say. Let's see if I can get you. Yep, there you go. It's this little more gold there. Sweet vegetal Jin Xuan. I'm expecting much the same on the cup. This will be our last steeping. If anybody's thinking this has gone on far too long. Still feels as if the flavour is dropping off slightly. Maybe it does need to be 100, even with this one. But so, let me sum up my thoughts. This is quite a low oxidation, obviously, with it being Baozhong. I feel as if the Jin Xuan is very well suited to this. I'm not picking up the kind of freshness or any florality. Well, maybe there's a bit of freshness, but there's no fruit and there's no florals. But Jin Xuan doesn't provide that. What you've got is straight into that Jin Xuan mouthfeel, even on the first steeping, which is pretty good. I feel as if, as much as there's plenty of mouthfeel, this flavour hasn't come through for as long as I would want it to do on each steeping. But all in all, for what that is, it's meant to be a kind of workhorse Jin Xuan as a Baozhong, and it works really well. I think if you wanted Jin Xuan, but you didn't want something too, I was going to say too satisfying then, that's the wrong word. Anything too rich, too thick, you just wanted more of a pick-me-up, I think this would be ideal. So this has been a review of Peach Garden Milk Baozhong, a Baozhong at 15% oxidation using Jin Xuan. It's come out well. Plenty of that mouthfeel, plenty of sweetness, plenty of vegetal quality, but I feel as if it's a little bit thin, but that just comes out as rather refreshing. So let's just to finish that off. It's a hearty recommendation. I haven't checked how much Jin Xuan Baozhong is available, but as always, if you can get it from Mountain Stream Teas and it sounds interesting, I would encourage you to do so. It's pretty easy to brew, both Western and Gongfu. You probably heard from what I've been saying, a little bit of adjustment might be in order, but it's a good showing. And is it easy to get hold of? I need further investigation, but I had no trouble getting it from Mountain Stream Teas. So a hearty recommendation, with a slight proviso that it's quite a light Jin Xuan. You're not getting a flavour that's too intense or lasting too long. Whether that's needing to tweak the parameters or just because it's Baozhong, I don't know yet. So if you want something, you want a Jin Xuan that's nice and light and refreshing, I think this is for you. So as always, happy steeping and God bless.